I am thinking of what I have lost.
The Shimada could rise again.
There is nothing to that name but pain. I wronged someone dear to me. The path to redemption is trying.
I shall use this crossbow to pierce my broken heart.
Everybody knows Overwatch. It's the massively popular online shooter with a roster full of colorful and memorable characters that all have depression. Overwatch has never been particularly well defined in terms of story, direction, tone, story, plot, themes, or even its story. And while that can sometimes be a strength, it's a series that's been around for nearly a decade and 2 games, and basically nothing's happened. The story just seems to move at the pace of a nano-boosted snail, which is still pretty slow.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Now, I suppose you could argue that's a problem that's rooted in the live service games model as a whole, but that's a video for another time. Because today, I want to focus on a different problem with Overwatch's lore. Nearly every single backstory in this game's roster is overseasoned with heaping portions of dark and/or bleak elements. It's like the kids in high school that would always wear all black and read books in the back of the room and never talk to anyone because they thought that being brooding was the same as being interesting. To be fair, some of these elements do give a great nuance to some of the characters, but I feel like the impact is lost a bit when your super meta character that is literally a StarCraft 2 pro gamer is turned into a Gundam mecha pilot soldier / Hollywood actor and is then formally diagnosed with PTSD. Now let me be clear before I go any further. Things like PTSD and other mental conditions are very serious, and I'm not trying to make light of any of those at all. And to be fair to Blizzard, I guess I can see what they were trying to do with this, which is be inclusive, I guess. Oh wow, she's flying around in a mech suit, killing people, but she also has PTSD. She's just like me. Okay, now let's do a quick speedrun of a bunch of different characters and their backstories, because I simply don't have time for every single one. Everybody that May knew is dead. Hanzo almost killed his brother for no reason. Everyone Reinhardt knew is dead. Genji nearly got killed by his brother. Winston gets bullied for being a nerd. Soldier 76 lost all of his friends and Overwatch exploded. Roadhog is obese. Ana got shot in the fucking face. And Widowmaker is French. And those are just a couple characters. What about the Overwatch organization itself? Well, that's a band of literal superheroes working together for the betterment of mankind. And naturally, people hated them. No, we can't have people in this universe liking the people that tried to stop the woman who blew the robot Dalai Lama's brains out from the grassy knoll. No, it's the good guys that have to be unwanted and misunderstood. Kind of like me when I was 16 living with my stepdad, who kept asking me to turn down the music in my own room. Fuck you, Tom. Okay, and speaking of the bad guys, let's talk about this real quick. There are 2 main antagonistic entities in the Overwatch world. There's Talon, which is led by Barbados Slim, and then you have Null Sector, which is led by an evil robot with one goal: to kill all humans. These guys are pretty great characters with fantastic voice acting, and their motivations almost kind of make sense. But wow, for how incredibly powerful a lot of the characters in Overwatch are, they're really struggling to take these guys down. Null Sector I get, right? There's a big army, but Talon's like 4 people. The game wants us to believe that the odds are incredibly stacked against our boys at Overwatch, and while the future may look bleak, Overwatch is that one beacon of light for all the misguided souls out there. But the problem is that this premise is stupid. Look around any level in this game. There's flying cars everywhere, literally sentient robots, and there's more crazy sci-fi bullshit everywhere. You're telling me in this reality, Uncle Sam wouldn't just send SEAL Team 76 over there to snipe Doomfist right in his bald? Yeah, I'm sure. Now after all that, you might think that I'm about to shit all over the character that is Reaper, but I actually think he's kinda sick. You know when the score on a pinball machine goes so high that it actually resets back to 0? That's what Reaper's cringiness is like. I think why Reaper works is that he was actually designed to have dark and brooding personality traits, and thus a dark and brooding background actually makes sense for him. Most other characters were built with a completely different tone in mind, as clearly evidenced by their designs and their voice acting. So when Blizzard decides to later insert this really sad and bleak shit into their backgrounds, it just comes across as a tacked on afterthought more than anything. At the end of the day, Overwatch's lore feels confusing not just because it's barely communicated in-game, but because it doesn't seem to know what tone it wants to settle on. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you disagreed with any of my opinions, please go ahead and contact me on the email you see on your screen there. Thanks. In conclusion, I'll leave Blizzard with this parting thought. From my point of view, Overwatch is a mostly bright and fun, jovial game, and grittiness needs to be applied sparingly. It's kind of just silly when a character makes a reference to literally being in a video game, but in the next moment they're having an actual existential crisis. Characters that we see in the cinematics can feel completely disconnected from the characters we see in-game. In the cinematics, everything is dark or serious, and in-game, characters take serious shit and wipe their ass with it, the same way that I wipe my ass with the adoption papers that Tom tried to give me on Christmas.